What's up, guys? Swift here with a quick update on what teams might be interested in trading up for the number one pick, and we have an update from David Montgomery regarding his contract status. Let's get right into it. First, let's get the Monty news out of the way, and then I'll talk about the number one pick. There was a recent rumor going around that David Montgomery wants $12 million per season, and that he's priced himself out of the Bears' range. You don't see Monty respond to rumors too often, but he took to Twitter to make fun of the report and call it fake. That was enough for me to know it was fake. Nothing is concrete with the David Montgomery situation. We will know more over the next month or so, but as of right now, it's 50-50 if Monty will be back or not. Don't buy into any rumors you hear. Okay, now let's talk about the number one pick. I believe 3 teams are currently front runners to trade up. I've believed all 3 of these teams were interested since the day we landed the number one pick, and nothing about their interest has to do with crazy rumors flying around. I believe the 3 most likely candidates to trade up for the number one pick are the Houston Texans, the Indianapolis Colts, and the Carolina Panthers. The reasons for all 3 are pretty simple. They don't have franchise quarterbacks. That's it. That's the biggest reason to trade up. But also, number 2, they have plenty of draft capital to get the deal done. The Texans have a plethora of extra draft capital from the Deshaun Watson trade. The Panthers also have a bunch of extra picks from the Christian McCaffrey trade. All 3 teams are hiring brand new head coaches as well. The Panthers just hired Frank Reich, former Colts QB. Both Frank Reich and the Indianapolis Colts have both failed trying to win with patchwork quarterback play or stopgap veterans. Both those teams need a change and need to draft a QB. Frank Reich now goes to Carolina, another team without a quarterback. It makes sense to think he doesn't want to spend his time with the Panthers, just like he did with the Colts. It makes a lot of sense for the Panthers to try to move up and take a franchise quarterback. The Colts, meanwhile, are in the exact same position, but with an even better roster built to win now. The head coach just got fired, but Colts GM Chris Ballard remains. He's already said he'd move heaven and earth to go up to the number one pick if there was a QB they deemed worthy. Meanwhile, analysts are calling this quarterback class special and unique. Todd McShay said the Texans should do everything they can to get up to number one and not let the Colts jump them. Texans beat writers seem to agree. If you're going to listen to any of these rumors floating around, it's important to use common sense. There are just so many fake stories going around right now. Are the Colts, Texans, and Panthers calling Ryan Poles and talking trades? It's very possible, but nobody in the media knows the details. Those stories never get leaked until deals fall through or get completed, and any rumors that have players involved are just made up. What's important is whether or not the trade makes sense for these teams to trade up for a quarterback. The Texans, Colts, and Panthers stand out and easily make the most sense in my opinion. It's also possible other teams could be interested, but there's still a lot of dominoes to fall between now and draft day, especially at the quarterback position. In my opinion, though, it would be a huge missed opportunity if Ryan Poles doesn't trade down from the number one spot. Even if he just went down to number 2, moving down one spot and being able to recoup a draft pick, a very valuable one at that, should take away any resentment fans have right now towards Chase Claypool, and it gives us even more talent to work with. I still think the number one pick is very valuable. This quarterback class is really good. C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, and Bryce Young are all intriguing enough for a team to want to move up. The best thing you can hope for as Bears fans is that these guys perform well at the combine and tear it up at their respective pro days. After that, it's up to Ryan Poles. I mean, the Bears are on the clock anyway. Before I end it, I wanted to let you guys hear Todd McShay and Mel Kiper from their recent mock draft and what they have to say about the number 1 pick. Let's listen to that, and then I'll give you my final thoughts.
So I said, okay, if you're stuck at number 1, you got to make a pick. You need a defensive lineman. That was a group that obviously needs an influx, not just 1, but probably 3 defensive linemen. And I went with Jalen Carter, number 1 player on my big board, and the guy who was a disruptor along the interior. When he got healthy after that September injuries, he was a guy that was playing to the level of the 2021 season, when everybody said he was the best player on that talent-laden Georgia Bulldog defense. So I think they want to come out of this draft with Jalen Carter. Will Anderson Jr. certainly would make sense as well, whether it's interior or outside pass rusher. My thing is, who's going to move up and give them enough to move down? Could it be the Colts? If the Colts isolate on one quarterback that they have to have above the others? And I put C.J. Stroud at 2 for a reason, because I didn't find any consensus on the other guys as well. We'll get to him in a minute. But if you look at Jalen Carter, I thought Will Anderson Jr. was not as dominant this year as he was in 2021. I didn't see the bend of a Myles Garrett or a Von Miller, or the explosiveness of those two and some of the other great pass rushers. And I didn't see a Nick Bosa. I didn't see an Aiden Hutchinson there. So to me, Will Anderson Jr. and Jalen Carter, I went with Carter there for that reason. Need plus the great player along the interior. Justin Fields, to me, you don't trade that pick. Okay, and say, okay, or trade Fields and say, I'm going to draft young. People say, trade Fields, draft young. I'm not buying into that. Justin Fields, to me, is going to be a great quarterback in this league. He's already shown signs of that, the kind of potential he has. Surround him by better players. Justin Fields can take off for you and be a heck of a quarterback. So build the defense. Hope you get. Hey, I'd love, Todd, for Houston at 2 to offer me something to go to 1. And then I could move to 2 and still get Jalen Carter. Then I could see how things work and maybe go from 2 to 4 to still get Carter or Anderson. So you could maneuver in a way and still get the potentially great defensive lineman and get off of that first pick. But my thing is Houston going to give you enough to do it? Are they going to be wanting to do it or just sit at 2? I think it's going to be fun to see how this all plays out.
I don't think they're going to sit at 2. I think they're going to do everything they can, and I think the Colts are going to be the driving reason. The Colts are they're done with dealing with veteran quarterbacks who come in and just don't fit the bill. They have a great roster. They do. A great roster on both sides of the ball. They have a run game. They have a solid defense. They need to get that quarterback. And so why wouldn't you pick from 4 to 1, move up, whatever it takes? Like next year's 2, next year's 1, go get that guy. I would make it Bryce Young. Maybe it's C.J. Stroud for you or Will Levis, whatever you want to say. But my point is, I think that number 1 pick is going to be worth a lot. And I think the Bears have to sit there and decide, all right, are we comfortable? Do we have our quarterback? And if not, then let's draft one. If not, move back 2 spots and we'll get Jalen Carter. We'll get Will Anderson.
You know, I want to look back to last year, and I know it's very different circumstances, but Ryan Poles, in his first draft as the Bears GM last year, became the GM that around the NFL on day 2 and day 3 turned 1 pick into like 8. The Bears had no picks last year. They ended up with like 11 guys they drafted. Like, he is going to build this team through the draft. I'm sure volume will be his friend.
It just makes too much sense, in my opinion. In years where there are good quarterbacks almost always go number 1. The Bears don't need to take a quarterback number 1. The Bears have extra needs on the roster and can use the extra draft picks. We should be able to find a trade partner. Now it just comes down to Ryan Poles and Ian Cunningham getting their draft board ready and attacking free agency to fill as many holes as they can. Stay tuned, guys. I'll be here covering it every step of the way. Remember to hit that like button for me. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss out on new videos. And until next time, bear down.